The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was quiet. Thousands of alien beings sat in their floating seats, waiting. The massive dome above them showed the stars outside, twinkling like tiny diamonds against the black of space. This was the most important meeting place in the galaxy, where all the major alien races came to talk about big problems. Ambassador Crix walked into the center of the hall. He was tall and covered in green scales that shone under the bright lights. His yellow eyes looked around at all the other aliens watching him. Crix belonged to the Zephyrian Empire, one of the strongest military powers in the galaxy. His people were known for being great warriors and conquering other worlds. Behind him walked 3 other Zephyrians, all wearing dark armor that made clicking sounds as they moved. Their weapons hung at their sides and their faces showed no emotion. They looked like soldiers ready for battle. Elder Thane sat in his crystal chair near the front. He was very old even by alien standards. His people, the Vorthans, had been around for millions of years. They had seen many wars and many stupid mistakes. Thane's blue skin was wrinkled with age, and his 4 arms were folded as he watched Crix with worried eyes. Next to Thane sat Counselor Vara. She looked like she was made of light and energy, floating a few inches above her seat. Her people, the Ethereals, were known for being very smart and able to read minds. Right now, her glowing form was flickering faster than usual, which meant she was nervous. On the other side of the hall, General Knox sat in his metal chair. Half of his body was machine parts and the other half was flesh. His people, the Chronari, loved war and fighting. They had the biggest army in the galaxy after the Zephyrians. But even General Knox looked uncomfortable as he watched Crix. Crix stopped in the center of the hall and raised his arms. His voice was loud and clear as he spoke to everyone. "Great beings of the Galactic Council," he began. "I come before you today to make an important announcement. The human colonies have grown too big and too bold. They have taken planets that rightfully belong to the Zephyrian Empire." A low murmur went through the hall. Many aliens started talking to each other in worried voices. Crix continued, his yellow eyes gleaming with pride. "These humans are a young species. They have only been in space for a few hundred years. They use simple technology and have small armies. Yet they dare to expand into our territory without asking permission." Elder Thane shifted in his seat. His 4 hands gripped the arms of his crystal chair tighter. "The Zephyrian Empire has decided," Crix announced, his voice getting louder. "We will take back what is ours. We hereby declare war on the human colonies. Our great fleet will move to reclaim these worlds within the next few days." The hall exploded with noise. Aliens were shouting and talking loudly to each other. Some stood up from their seats. Others made strange sounds that were probably curse words in their languages. Elder Thane stood up slowly. Even though he was old, his voice was still strong and clear. "Ambassador Crix," he called out. "This is madness. You cannot simply declare war without the Council's approval." Crix turned to face the old alien. His scaled face showed a smile that looked more like a snarl. "Elder Thane, with respect, the Zephyrian Empire does not need permission to reclaim what belongs to us. We are simply informing you as a courtesy." Counselor Vara's glowing form pulsed brighter. "Ambassador, you do not understand what you are doing. Humans are not what they appear to be." General Knox's mechanical parts whirred as he stood up. "The Chronari Federation has studied human military tactics. They are unusual. Perhaps you should reconsider." Crix laughed and the sound echoed through the great hall. "General Knox, I am surprised. The great Chronari warriors are afraid of primitive humans? These beings barely have space travel. Their weapons are simple projectile throwers and chemical explosives. Our smallest warship could destroy their entire fleet." "That is what others have thought," Elder Thane said quietly, but his words carried far in the now silent hall. "Others who are no longer with us." The old Vorthan's words sent a chill through many of the aliens present. Everyone knew that Elder Thane had lived through many wars. If he was worried, there was probably a good reason. Crix's yellow eyes narrowed. "Elder Thane, are you trying to scare me with ghost stories? The Zephyrian Empire has conquered 40 star systems. We have destroyed armies 10 times larger than anything humans have ever fielded. These mammals are nothing to us." Vara floated closer to the center of the hall. Her voice sounded like music, but there was fear in it. "Ambassador, please. Request an emergency session. Let us share what we know about humans before you do something that cannot be undone." Crix looked around the hall at all the worried faces staring at him. For just a moment, doubt flickered in his yellow eyes. But then his pride took over again. "The decision is made," he declared firmly. "The Zephyrian war fleet is already prepared. Within 1 week, the human problem will be solved forever. We thank you for your concern, but it is not needed. He turned and walked toward the exit, his armored guards following behind him. The clicking of their boots on the metal floor was the only sound in the completely silent hall. As the great doors closed behind the Zephyrians, Elder Thane slowly sat back down in his crystal chair. He looked very tired and very worried. "Emergency session," he called out to the hall. "Now, before it is too late for all of us." The great hall emptied quickly after Ambassador Crix left. Most of the alien representatives hurried away, whispering to each other in worried voices. But the most important council members stayed behind. Elder Thane activated the emergency protocols, and the massive doors sealed shut with a deep rumbling sound. The lights in the hall dimmed, and holographic displays appeared in the air above them. Elder Thane moved slowly to the center, his four ancient hands working the control panels that only the oldest council members knew how to use. "What I am about to show you," Thane said quietly, "has been classified for over 200 years. Very few beings in the galaxy know the full truth about humanity's military history." Counselor Vara floated closer, her glowing form pulsing nervously. General Knox's mechanical parts whirred as his computer brain prepared to record everything. Around them, representatives from a dozen other species watched with growing dread. The holographic display came to life, showing a star map of a distant sector of the galaxy. Red markers appeared, indicating battle sites. There were so many red dots that parts of the map looked like it was bleeding. "The first incident," Thane began, "happened 47 years ago. The hegemony decided that humans were expanding too quickly." "Sound familiar?" He looked toward the door where Crix had left. "They sent a fleet of 500 warships to destroy the human colony of New Sol." The hologram showed the massive alien fleet approaching a small planet. The human defenders had only 10 ships, tiny compared to the enormous hegemony vessels. "The humans were outnumbered 50 to 1, Thane continued. "Every military computer in the galaxy calculated that the battle would last less than 6 hours. The hegemony would win easily." General Knox leaned forward, his metal fingers clicking against his chair. "But that is not what happened." "No," Thane said grimly. "It is not." The hologram showed the battle beginning. The hegemony ships attacked in perfect formation, just like they had been trained. Their massive weapons fired at the tiny human ships. But something strange happened. The human ships did not fight back the way anyone expected. Instead of meeting the alien fleet head-on, the human ships split up and scattered. They moved in patterns that made no sense to military computers. Some ships flew straight at the enemy fleet, others circled around behind them. A few even seemed to retreat completely. "The hegemony commanders thought the humans were running away," Thane explained. "They were wrong." The hologram showed what happened next. The human ships that had seemed to retreat suddenly appeared from different directions. They had used the planet's gravity to slingshot themselves behind the hegemony fleet. The ships that had flown straight at the enemy were not attacking, they were delivering something. "Mines," General Knox whispered, his mechanical voice full of respect. "They turned their own ships into mine layers." "Not just mines," Thane corrected. The humans had studied hegemony technology for months before the battle. They knew exactly how their shields worked, exactly where their weak spots were. Every mine was designed to exploit a specific flaw in hegemony design. The hologram showed the hegemony fleet being torn apart from the inside. Their own weapons turned against them as human boarding parties took control of ship after ship. Within 12 hours, the great hegemony armada was destroyed. Only a handful of ships escaped to tell what had happened. Counselor Vara's light flickered rapidly. The psychological analysis of that battle revealed something disturbing. The human commanders had no formal military training. They were farmers, miners, and shopkeepers who had volunteered to defend their homes. "Amateurs," scoffed Ambassador Korvax, who had remained behind to observe the emergency session. He was Crix's military advisor. "Lucky amateurs." Thane activated another holographic display. This one showed a different battle in a different star system. The Titan conflicts 31 years ago. The crystalline Titans believed humans were a threat to galactic peace. They sent their finest battle fleet, 800 ships crewed by professional soldiers with centuries of experience. The new hologram showed an even more massive alien fleet approaching a human mining world. This time the humans had even fewer defenders, only 6 ships against 800. The humans requested a meeting with the Titan commanders, Thane continued. They wanted to surrender. The Titans agreed, thinking it would be quick and easy. General Knox's metal face actually showed something like fear. They did not surrender. "No," Thane said softly. They used the meeting to get close enough to plant a virus in the Titan communication system. Within minutes, every Titan ship was receiving false orders. They started attacking each other, thinking their own allies were human ships in disguise. The hologram showed the proud Titan fleet destroying itself while the 6 human ships watched safely from a distance. By the time the Titans realized what had happened, most of their fleet was gone. Ambassador Korvax stood up, his scales rattling. These are clever tricks, nothing more. The Zephyrian Empire has faced trickery before. Vara floated toward him, her glowing form now pulsing with urgent warning colors. Ambassador, you are missing the point. Humans do not think like other species. When they are threatened, they do not follow normal military rules. They become completely unpredictable. Our psychological studies show something unique, she continued. Humans form emotional bonds not just with their own families, but with complete strangers. They will die for people they have never met, simply because those people are also human. This pack-bonding behavior makes them fight harder and longer than any other species. General Knox stood up, his mechanical parts clicking. The Chronari Federation has studied every human battle in our war colleges. We use them to teach advanced tactical thinking. Human strategies are required study for all our officers. Why? Korvax demanded. Because, Knox replied, his voice heavy with mechanical precision, in every recorded case where humans have been attacked, they do not just defend themselves. They destroy their attackers so completely that those species are never able to threaten anyone again. Elder Thane deactivated the holograms, plunging the hall into dim lighting. Ambassador Korvax, please contact your superior. Tell him that 3 different species have tried to do exactly what the Zephyrian Empire plans to do. None of those species exist anymore. Korvax looked around the hall at the worried faces of beings who had lived for centuries and seen the rise and fall of entire civilizations. For a moment, uncertainty flickered in his yellow eyes. Then his pride reasserted itself. Elder Thane, with respect, the Zephyrian Empire is not some weak coalition. We have the largest fleet in the galaxy and the finest soldiers. These humans may have defeated smaller forces, but they have never faced anything like us. He turned and walked toward the exit, his confidence restored. The war begins tomorrow. You will see that Zephyrian strength is more than enough to handle primitive human tricks. As the great doors closed behind him, the remaining council members sat in worried silence. Elder Thane looked older than ever as he whispered words that would prove prophetic. Another species chooses extinction over wisdom. The news traveled fast across human space. Admiral Wu Jin stood in the command center of Earth Defense Headquarters, watching as reports came in from every human colony in the galaxy. The large screens around him showed star maps with hundreds of green dots representing human worlds. Sir, called out Captain Minho from his station. We have confirmation. The Zephyrian Empire has officially declared war on all human colonies. Their fleet is already moving toward our outer settlements. Wu Jin nodded calmly. He was a quiet man who had spent 30 years protecting human space. His gray hair and tired eyes showed the weight of that responsibility. But right now he looked more determined than worried. Contact all colony governors, he ordered. Emergency Defense Protocol 7. Full implementation. Lieutenant Hygiene worked quickly at her communications panel. Within minutes, she had connections to every major human settlement. The large screen in front of them split into dozens of smaller screens, each showing a different colony leader. Governors, Admiral Wu Jin addressed them all at once. You have all received the intelligence reports. The Zephyrian Empire believes we are an easy target. They think our colonies are weak and defenseless. What is your status? Governor So Young of New Geneva was the first to respond. She was a small woman with short black hair and dirt under her fingernails from working in the fields just hours before. Admiral, civilian evacuation is already underway. Our farming equipment is being converted to defensive positions as we speak. Underground shelters are ready for the entire population. On another screen, Governor Jeho of the Kepler mining colony spoke up. Sir, our mining lasers are being refitted for military use. The orbital refineries can produce military-grade metals within 48 hours. We have enough raw materials to supply the entire defense fleet. Admiral Wu Jin felt a familiar pride as he watched his people respond. This was what made humans different from other species in the galaxy. When threatened, they did not panic. They did not argue. They simply worked together. Research stations report, he called. Dr. Eugene appeared on one of the screens. She ran the Advanced Technology Lab on Europa Station. Admiral, we intercepted Zephyrian communications during their council announcement. We have been analyzing their ship designs and weapon systems. I believe we can have countermeasures ready within 72 hours. How? Asked Captain Minho, surprised. We have never fought the Zephyrians before. Dr. Eugene smiled. We have been watching them for years. Every species that joins galactic trade shares technical specifications for safety reasons. We know exactly how their ships work, what their weaknesses are, and how to exploit them. On the screens, more colony leaders reported their preparations. The shipyards at Titan were already working around the clock, building new vessels with improved designs based on captured alien technology from previous conflicts. The agricultural worlds were switching from food production to military supplies. Medical stations were preparing for casualties and developing new treatments for alien weapons. What impressed Admiral Wu Jin most was the volunteers. Every single colony reported the same thing: more people wanting to fight than they could possibly use. Young and old, men and women, experienced soldiers and complete civilians. All of them ready to defend human space. Sir, Lieutenant Hygiene called out. I am getting reports from the Galactic Council monitoring stations. They are watching us. Let them watch, Wu Jin replied. What do they see? Hygiene checked her screens. According to their reports, human industrial output has increased by 400% in the last 6 hours. Civilian shipping has converted to military logistics. They are detecting massive energy signatures from our research facilities. Captain Minho looked up from his tactical display. Admiral, the aliens are confused. Their computers cannot understand how we mobilized so quickly. Most species take months to prepare for war. Admiral Wu Jin walked to the large window overlooking Earth. He could see the lights of cities below, each one now working toward the same goal. Factories that made farming equipment were now making weapons. Schools had become training centers. Hospitals were preparing for war casualties. Captain, he said quietly, other species see war as politics. They think about territory and resources and power. But humans see war differently. How so, sir? Wu Jin turned back to face the screens showing all the colony leaders. We do not fight for territory. We fight for each other. Every human in the galaxy knows that if the Zephyrians succeed, they will not stop with one colony. They will keep coming until we are all gone. Governor Kehoe from the Outer Rim settlements appeared on a new screen. His colony was small and far from the main shipping routes. Admiral, we know our settlement is probably first on the Zephyrian target list. We are ready. Governor, your colony only has 3,000 people, Captain Minho pointed out. The Zephyrian fleet has over 200 ships. Kehoe smiled grimly. Captain, you know what we learned from the history books? The Alamo, Thermopylae, the Siege of Bastogne. Sometimes 3,000 people can hold off an entire army if they have something worth fighting for. Dr. Eugene interrupted from her research station. Admiral, I have something interesting. The Galactic Council has been sharing tactical data about the Zephyrian fleet. Elder Thane sent us their complete battle formations and weapon specifications. Why would he do that? Asked Lieutenant Hygiene. Because, Admiral Wu Jin realized, the Galactic Council is not neutral in this war. They have seen what happens when species attack humans. They know how this will end. The communications panel lit up with an urgent message. Captain Minho read it aloud. Sir, long-range sensors detect the Zephyrian fleet changing course. They are heading directly for New Geneva colony. Admiral Wu Jin looked at Governor So Young's screen. The small farming colony leader showed no fear, only determination. Governor, he said formally, the enemy has chosen their first target. Are you ready? So Young nodded. Admiral, we have been ready since the moment they decided to threaten our families. New Geneva will show them what humans do to bullies. Around the command center, officers worked with quiet efficiency. There was no panic, no shouting, no confusion. Just humans doing what humans did best, adapting, planning, and preparing to protect each other. Admiral Wu Jin knew that within days, the galaxy would learn once again why smart species left humans alone. The Zephyrians were about to discover that declaring war on humanity was not just a mistake. It was suicide. Admiral Korvax stood on the bridge of his flagship, the mighty warship Thunder of Zephyr. Around him, his officers worked at their stations with quiet confidence. Through the large viewing window, he could see the rest of his invasion fleet, 300 of the most powerful warships the Zephyrian Empire had ever built. Admiral, called out his tactical officer, Commander Vex. We are approaching the New Geneva system. Long-range sensors show minimal activity. Korvax smiled, showing his sharp teeth. This was going to be even easier than he had thought. The humans were probably hiding in fear, knowing that the great Zephyrian fleet was coming for them. What do you see, Commander? Korvax asked. Vex studied his display screens. Sir, the planet appears to be mostly agricultural. Large farming areas, small settlements. I detect some orbital platforms, but they look like civilian stations for loading crops. Any military vessels? None visible, sir. If the humans have any warships in this system, they are either very small or they have already run away. Korvax laughed loudly and his bridge crew joined in. This was exactly what they had expected from the primitive human species. No real military, no proper defenses, just farmers and miners pretending to be soldiers. Signal the fleet, Korvax ordered. Standard invasion formation. We will show these humans how a real military operates. The Zephyrian fleet moved into attack position. Their massive ships formed perfect lines just like they had been trained. Each vessel was over 2 kilometers long and armed with weapons that could destroy entire cities. The formation was beautiful and terrifying, a display of military power that had conquered dozens of star systems. As they approached New Geneva, Korvax activated the communication system to broadcast a message to the planet below. Humans of New Geneva, his voice boomed across space. This is Admiral Korvax of the Zephyrian Empire. You have settled on worlds that belong to us. Surrender now and we will allow you to leave peacefully. Resist and we will destroy everything you have built. For several minutes there was no response. Korvax began to think the humans had already abandoned the planet. Then a calm voice came back over the communication system. Admiral Korvax, this is Governor So Young of New Geneva Colony. We have a response for you. Korvax leaned forward in his command chair. I am listening. Go home, the human woman said simply. The bridge of the thunder of Zephyr erupted in angry sounds. Zephyrian officers hissed and snarled at the insult. How dare these primitive farmers speak to a Zephyrian admiral like that? Very well, Korvax growled. You have chosen destruction. All ships, begin orbital bombardment. Target their cities first. The Zephyrian fleet opened fire. Hundreds of energy beams and missiles streaked down toward the planet below. From space, it looked like the surface of New Geneva was being covered in explosions and fire. But something was wrong. Commander Vex stared at his sensors with confusion. Sir, he called out. I am not detecting any significant damage. The bombardment should have leveled their major settlements. Impossible, Korvax snapped. Increase power. Fire again. The fleet fired a second massive barrage. This time, Korvax watched through powerful telescopes as their weapons hit the planet. What he saw made no sense. The explosions were hitting empty fields. The cities that had shown up on their scanners were not there anymore. Admiral, Commander Vex said nervously. I think we have a problem. What kind of problem? The cities were never real. They were holographic projections. The humans had been hiding their real settlements underground. Before Korvax could respond, alarms began screaming throughout his ship. His tactical display lit up with new contacts, dozens of ships appearing from behind the planet's 3 moons. Where did they come from? Korvax demanded. Unknown, sir. They must have been hiding behind the moons, using them to block our sensors. The human fleet was much smaller than the Zephyrian armada, but they moved in ways that made no sense. Instead of forming organized battle lines, they scattered in all directions. Some flew straight at the Zephyrian ships, others circled around the flanks, and a few seemed to be retreating again. They are running away, Commander Vex reported. Should we pursue? No, Korvax said slowly. Something felt wrong about this. Maintain formation. Do not break ranks. His instincts were correct. The human ships that appeared to be retreating suddenly changed course. They had used the planet's gravity to accelerate themselves into new attack positions. The ships that had flown straight at the Zephyrian fleet were not attacking at all, they were dropping something. Mines? Commander Vex shouted. They are laying mines throughout our formation. But these were not ordinary space mines. As the Zephyrian ships tried to avoid them, the mines began to move. They were intelligent, guided weapons that could track and follow their targets. Captain Minho commanded one of the human attack ships. His vessel was tiny compared to the massive Zephyrian warships, but it was fast and could change direction quickly. He spoke calmly into his communication system. All human vessels, this is Captain Minho. Execute pattern Delta 7. Target their engine sections. The human ships moved with perfect coordination, but not in the rigid formations the Zephyrians used. Instead, they flowed around the enemy fleet like water, each ship covering the others and striking at weak points. Lieutenant Hygiene operated the weapons systems on Minho's ship. Captain, their shields are just like Dr. Eugene predicted. The frequency rotation is exactly 17 seconds. Understood. All ships, time your attacks for shield frequency gaps. The human weapons were not as powerful as Zephyrian guns, but they did not need to be. The humans had studied Zephyrian technology and knew exactly when their shields would be weakest. Every shot hit exactly where it would do the most damage. Admiral Korvax watched in growing horror as his perfect fleet fell apart around him. Ships that had never been defeated in battle were exploding or losing power. His carefully planned invasion was becoming a disaster. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "They are outnumbered 10 to 1. Commander Vex studied his battle displays with shock. "Sir, they are not fighting like a normal military. Each ship is making independent decisions, but somehow they are all working together perfectly. That is impossible. No species can coordinate like that without central command." "Admiral," his communications officer called out urgently. "We are receiving surrender demands from the human fleet." "Surrender demands? From them?" Captain Minho's voice came over the communication system. "Admiral Korvax, you have lost 60% of your fleet. Your remaining ships are trapped in our minefield. This is your only chance to withdraw with honor." Korvax looked around his bridge. Half of his officers were wounded. Systems were failing throughout the ship. Through the viewing window, he could see the wreckage of dozens of his finest warships drifting in space. The invasion that was supposed to last a few hours had become a complete defeat in less than 30 minutes. "Signal the retreat," he whispered, his voice broken. "All remaining ships, withdraw immediately." The Galactic Council chamber was buzzing with urgent messages and emergency reports. Elder Thane sat in his crystal chair, reading update after update with growing amazement. Around him, other council members whispered in worried voices as news continued to pour in from across Zephyrian space. It had been only 3 days since Admiral Korvax's fleet retreated from New Geneva. 3 days since the humans had won their first battle against the Zephyrian Empire. But what happened next shocked every alien civilization in the galaxy. "Another report, Elder," Counselor Vara announced, her glowing form flickering with the strain of processing so much information. "The Zephyrian fortress world of Kethra has fallen. Human forces captured it in less than 18 hours. General Knox's mechanical parts whirred as he stood up from his chair. "That is impossible. Kethra has never been conquered. Its defenses have protected the Zephyrian Empire for over 300 years. The humans did not attack the defenses," Vara explained, sharing the tactical data through her light display. "They bypassed them completely. Small human teams infiltrated the planet weeks ago, disguised as trade workers. When the attack began, they disabled the defense systems from the inside." Elder Thane shook his head in amazement. "Weeks ago? But the war was only declared 4 days ago." "Apparently," Vara continued, "humans began preparing for this war the moment the Zephyrians announced their intention to the Council. They have been planning every move while we were still trying to talk sense into Ambassador Crix." More reports continued to arrive. The Zephyrian military base at Zirion Prime had been destroyed by human ships using captured Zephyrian weapons, weapons that the humans had somehow made more powerful than the originals. The Zephyrian fleet yards at Vega Station were under siege by human forces who seemed to know exactly where every ship and weapon was stored. "How are they moving so fast?" asked Ambassador Tull from the Centauri Republic. "It should take months to organize attacks on so many different worlds." General Knox accessed his tactical computers. "According to our analysis, the humans are not using traditional military strategy. Each attack force operates independently but shares information instantly with all other forces. When one team learns something new about Zephyrian defenses, every human commander knows it within minutes." Colonel Kehoe led one of the human assault teams attacking the Zephyrian supply world of Nexus 7. His small force of only 50 soldiers faced a Zephyrian garrison of over 2,000 defenders. But the humans had advantages that no Zephyrian computer could calculate. "Team 2, this is Colonel Kehoe," he spoke into his communication device. "We have found their ammunition storage. Placing charges now." Lieutenant Jiwoo replied from across the enemy base. "Colonel, our technical team has access to their computer systems. We are downloading their complete military database." "Understood. Upload everything to Fleet Command immediately." Within hours, information captured from Nexus 7 was being used by human forces attacking 3 other Zephyrian worlds. The humans learned faster than any species in galactic history, and they shared that knowledge instantly across their entire military. Back in the council chamber, Ambassador Crix finally returned from his failed war. The proud Zephyrian warrior who had declared war so confidently now looked broken and defeated. His green scales were dull, his yellow eyes showed fear instead of arrogance. Honorable council members, Crix began, his voice shaking. The Zephyrian Empire formally requests immediate mediation. We wish to end this conflict. The hall fell completely silent. Every alien representative stared at Crix in shock. The mighty Zephyrian Empire was surrendering after less than a week of war. Elder Thane stood up slowly, his ancient face showing no surprise. Ambassador Crix, are you requesting terms of surrender? Please, Crix begged, his warrior's pride completely gone. Our empire is collapsing. Human forces have captured or destroyed over half of our military installations. Our fleet is scattered. Our colonies are defenseless. What happened to your great war machine? Asked General Knox. Your superior numbers and advanced weapons? Crix's voice broke as he answered. The humans turned our own technology against us. They captured our weapons and made them better. They studied our tactics and found ways to defeat them. Every advantage we thought we had became a weakness they could exploit. Counselor Vara's form pulsed with new data. Ambassador, I am receiving reports that human forces are now offering terms to your remaining colonies. They are not demanding destruction or slavery. They are offering protection and trade agreements. What? Crix looked confused. Elder Thane activated a holographic display showing the current state of Zephyrian space. The humans have stopped their advance, Ambassador. They are not trying to conquer your empire. They are simply making sure you can never threaten them again. At that moment, a new voice joined the council session through subspace communication. Admiral Wu Jin appeared on the main display screen, speaking from his command ship in what used to be Zephyrian territory. Honorable council members, the human admiral said calmly, humanity is prepared to negotiate peace terms. However, these terms are not subject to discussion. What are your demands? Elder Thane asked. Complete demilitarization of the Zephyrian Empire. All military vessels and weapons to be turned over to human forces. Reparations to be paid to New Geneva and other colonies that were attacked. Permanent monitoring stations to be established in Zephyrian space. Ambassador Crix fell to his knees. Please, Admiral. Those terms will mean the end of our empire. No, Ambassador, Admiral Wu Jin replied, his voice still calm but firm. Those terms will mean the beginning of peace. Your people can continue to live and work and build families. They just cannot build weapons to threaten other species. Elder Thane looked around the council chamber at the faces of representatives from dozens of different civilizations. All of them were thinking the same thing. The humans could have destroyed the Zephyrian Empire completely, but instead they were offering mercy. The Galactic Council accepts these terms on behalf of the Zephyrian Empire, Elder Thane announced formally. As the session ended, Elder Thane spoke words that would be remembered throughout the galaxy for centuries to come. Let this be a lesson to all species who might consider threatening humanity. Humans do not seek war, but when war is forced upon them, they do not simply fight to win. They fight to ensure that no one will ever threaten their families again. The Zephyrian Empire chose to attack farmers and shopkeepers. Those farmers and shopkeepers have just conquered the greatest military power in this sector of the galaxy in less than 1 week. He paused, looking directly at Ambassador Crix. You did not declare war on humans, Ambassador. You declared your own extinction. The only reason your people still exist is because humans are more merciful than they are powerful. The great Zephyrian Empire, which had taken 1,000 years to build, was now under human protection. And across the galaxy, every alien civilization made the same decision. It was much safer to be friends with humans than enemies. The age of underestimating humanity was over.